Well, sit, children. Let me give you the subject of the day.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Natural Effect Podcast. I'm Nate, and today we're doing the organic output for the Wonderbrett interview. As you saw with the Wonderbrett interview, it's probably our longest interview so far, with lots of knowledge and gems dropped all through the interview. And yeah, as you guys heard, all the top rappers in the 90s all were smoking Wonderbrett and paying big money for it as well, which is a big inspiration to me, especially seeing as like I'm a big fan of the 90s rappers. This day and age, I'd say that there's a lot more rappers endorsing cannabis, but I'd say the rappers these days don't know as much. Like, I see a lot of rappers smoking mids and not really knowing what they're talking about when it comes to cannabis. But I would say the guys in the 90s like Snoop, Dre, Exhibit, etc., I would assume they knew a lot more, you know, especially in them days smoking on OGs and stuff. So you guys also heard that Wonderbrett comes from a family of lots of stoners, like myself. So like me, he said he was basically born into cannabis, not born into the growing so much, but born into consuming, which is pretty cool. And you guys heard about his first grow. He literally started with nothing, which is big inspiration for even the people out there that haven't got a grow going on yet, or maybe only have up to 4 or 5 lights or even 10 lights. You know, that you can achieve true greatness and scale up very quick if you put your mind to it. I'm going to spark up this big doobie of Van Gogh. Okay, my first grow was actually with one of my old friends. He was actually my best friend for years. And his name was Chris, and it was actually his place. It was in his girlfriend's parents' house. And yeah, it wasn't too big. I think it was about a 6 lighter or an 8 lighter or something. And we started off with Neville's. Actually, do you know what? I'm lying. The first one was a small tent. I'm pretty sure it was just a 2 light tent. And we were growing Neville's Cross Widow and Neville's Straight. They were the first few strains that I grew. And the reason I say with my friend Chris is because basically it was like we were growing it together. Mainly he was doing more of the work, honestly, when it comes to growing. And then I would always help him distribute and market the product, etc. Yeah, that's my first grow. As I said, I remember Neville's Widow. Then after that, I started doing stuff with my cousin Andy, and I remember doing a lot of different cheeses, rhinos, etc. You guys see in my recap with Fields talking about a lot of the old school strains we had in the UK. So my final call on cops in the industry. If you want me to be honest with you, I will sway more on the side of like not acceptable. And I thought about it really deeply from both sides of the spectrum. And honestly, I don't think it's right. Like, that's the truth. I'm going to come out and say it. Don't get me wrong, everyone's entitled to do what they want to do. But for a man who put a lot of guys in jail to be in our scene right now, flourishing, it just doesn't sit right with me, you know. And that's my final call on it. I think unless cops are going to release everyone who got done for cannabis and actually help the industry and bring light to it, then I don't think they have a place in our industry. What makes 1010 flower? So I think there's a lot of aspects that makes 1010 flower. I would actually start with the strain, because if you don't have a great strain, but you're an amazing grower and you've got a great environment and you're using a good medium, if you don't have the right strains, you're still not going to produce fire. Do you get what I'm saying? And I'm not even just talking about a yield. I'm not even talking about yield so much, because we grow a lot of stuff that's a really bad yielder. Like Nico always is stressing because our yields on a lot of our strains is always low. But I would say that 1010 flower, 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 1010 flower the strain is the number one thing, because even if you've got everything else right and you don't have the strain, it's not going to work. Secondly, your medium. Everyone I know uses different kind of medium. I know a lot of people that do use, cubes in hydro. I know a lot of people that use cocoa, a lot of people that use soil. Now, you're always going to have benefits and disadvantages to each one of them. Like for me, soil is the best tasting by far, but it's the lowest yielding and it causes the most problems in the room. So you're always going to have your pros and cons, right? So medium second. The feed you use, of course, whatever you're feeding it. I tend to love bud that's either in soil, grown with alive nutrients, for example, or biobiz, or using organic teas, etc. And there's also, people have commercial growers who are also using clean salts, for example, who also get fire product. Is salts my favorite? No. But if you have a big grow and you're trying to do something on a huge scale, more than likely it's the only way to go. Try doing like 400-500 lights, like the big boys out there with soil. There's no chance of doing it. You're not going to do it. You literally need 5 growers every room, and how are you going to have so many trusted growers? That's not going to happen. So that's what I explain to people when they say, oh, why can't we do a large grow with soil? Like, that'll be the best, and it's just not realistic. Then after that, I'd say environment, because if your environment's not on point, then you're not going to produce fire. And then after that, of course, it's the flushing the cure. I would recommend flushing for at least 2 to 3 weeks. I like to do 2.5-3 weeks, but at least 2 weeks. And drying process, which is like the cure drying process, I'd say just as low temp, not as low temp as possible, but at a low temp where you're not quick drying it. I feel like the slower that cannabis dries, the more fire it tends to be and the better it burns. So you guys heard Brit. We asked Brit what strains he loves outside his lineup, and it was one of the strains that I absolutely love as well, and I actually miss it. I haven't smoked much of it. I actually got a few joints given to me by Anderfaders, his friend. It didn't burn the cleanest, but it tasted alright. And yeah, it was LINKTREE. We miss LINKTREE, and LINKTREE is definitely one of my favourite strains outside my lineup as well. And I remember when LINKTREE first came out, and I was pretty much infatuated with the strain. I used to buy tons of it just to smoke. And even in people in the UK used to love it so much. I'm sure there's still people out there who still do love it. But I remember after the LINKTREE, people like Brit and people like the Lemonade people, they also had the same cut and they were growing it. And in my opinion, it was growing a little bit better than the original LINKTREE lot. The original LINKTREE lot, they used to grow like it was fire, but a lot of times they didn't burn too clean. The lemon drop from Brit, I used to love that. And I'm trying to convince him to bring it back. But he also, Brit, I think from what I remember him saying, he was working on a LINKTREE cross and he ended up losing it. But I'm going to try and get out there and find a clone of it and gift it to Brit and see what we can create between me, Brit, and even maybe Fields. Okay, the Brit facility. Psst. Absolutely incredible. You guys are going to see, I'm bringing it out on the YouTube channel in the next 2 to 3 weeks. We visited Brett's facility in Long Beach. It was like a massive Target. It was probably bigger than the Target, like the building. It was incredible. From the technology he used, to the size of the grows, to the fire that he had in there. Honestly, Brett for me is a massive inspiration. And just the way he holds himself as a man, like, he's so humble. He's always willing to learn and listen. And honestly, I find like a lot of even the big boys, when I came over to California, I'd say a lot of them were threatened by a few of the UK guys. But Brett has always been 100 with me. Always giving me tips and game when I've needed it. He's always got time for me. And for me, he's like definitely my number one inspiration in the scene. Like, to even hear from himself, to come from practically one light to having hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of lights. Like, I don't even know exactly how many lights he had, but we were opening door and there was like 50 lights in there, like maybe a little bit less, and then he'll be like, yeah, this is the room of Picasso, and then he'll close the door, and then it was the next one. Literally, honestly, these doors were infinity. It was just like one after the other. I was like, what the hell is going on here? But yeah, that facility was definitely inspirational to me, and I hope one day to also have a facility like that. As you guys said, as you guys heard, Brit, like, it's not owned by him, the facility, but it's a Wonderbrett facility. I just would like to put that out there because I don't want to make out like he said otherwise, you know, because he did make it very clear that he doesn't actually own the facility. Packaging in the industry. So yeah, packaging's great. Like, you're always, like, apart from it being plastic, which I've tried to go out there and find biodegradable packaging, which won't work for cannabis, because what do you want to keep cannabis away from? You want to keep it away from moisture, water, and oxygen, right? Well, biodegradable packaging tends to not be the best for that. So I'm still out there looking for biodegradable packaging. I'm sure there is, and I'm sure it's going to come up in the future. Just got to look hard enough and work hard enough on maybe even creating it ourselves. And yeah, packaging's a big thing. People always are going to judge the packaging before the flower. So even if you've got your own brand, and like, it's just how it is. People are always going to see the packaging. If that looks cool, then they're going to grab the packaging, they're going to open it, they're going to smell it. If it's fire, they're going to consume it. So, and you know, everyone has different kind of packaging. I've seen, like, obviously there's people who've made shape bags. I've also got some shape bags. There's people that just kept it normal squares. But initially, I think in the industry, it don't matter how fire your cannabis is, you're going to need some dope packaging to go with it. And it doesn't have to be super complicated. As long as it's nice, slick and plain and it does its thing, it can still work. Terps vs THC. So, you also heard me and Brit talk about this, especially in the legal market. People walk into dispensaries, you can't really smell stuff in dispensaries, and the first thing that people say in dispensaries is, what THC percentage is it? Like, that's the first thing they want to hear. Is it over 30%? Like, and honestly, it's not how it works. You can get stuff that has a lower THC content, but it's going to get you higher. Also, do you not care about flavor? A lot of the stuff that's heavy in THC doesn't taste necessarily good. A lot of the stuff that tastes amazing, a lot of it has low THC levels, like Skittles, for example. So I'd say you can't judge cannabis just by THC. Don't get me wrong. Is it cool to smoke stuff that's high THC that's going to put you on your back? Yeah, from time to time it's cool. Like, even old Jawbreaker, like the Nature Boys line up, the Jawbreaker, which is apple cross the Mac, I'm pretty sure it hits like 35% THC, which is very high. And I only smoke it at night time. Do I love the flavour of it? I don't love the flavour of it. It's not my sort of top. I like it. It's not my favourite. But yeah, to smoke as a nighttime smoke. Like, if you really want to test your, test how high you can get and how much you can handle, then smoke the Jawbreaker from Nature Boys and you can test yourself to that. And also, even Brit has a lot of strains with high THC that he's working on as well. I'm pretty sure the banana's high THC. And he's got a few other things as well that he's working on, which are really high THC as well. So yeah, that's pretty much the conclusion. I hope everyone who's watching has an amazing Christmas holidays, Christmas period. I'm going to end it off with a dab. I'm going to have a dab of some Poseidon's Pearls. And I wish everyone lots of... One sec, let me just get this ready. Yeah, I wish everyone lots of positivity in the new year. If you're not happy in where you are right now, get your head down, you know. From even the interviews you guys have heard already, anyone can achieve greatness. Even from myself. Like, not that long ago, it wasn't that many years ago that I was homeless, that I had nothing, that, you know, that I didn't have no lights. And even right now, like, I wouldn't say I'm one of the biggest growers out here, but I have hundreds of lights, you know. Okay, let's get it ready. On my RBR, big up Bear Mountain Studios. My favourite glass blower, sorry, the right term. And yeah, this is my daily driver. And I'm actually gonna dab some papanana, which is some stronana cross papaya. And honestly, they're two of my favourite things to dab on, and honestly, absolutely amazing. Like the cross between it, off the charts. But yeah, let us know in the comments what you guys want to see more from Wonderbrett. Also, is anyone interested in buying a clone of Pink Picasso? I've spoke to Wonderbrett, and he could be persuaded to let that go. And I think a lot of people out there can create a lot of fire from the Pink Picasso, you know? I think a lot of the crosses of Pink Picasso are gonna come out extraordinary. Even the strain by itself is one of my favorites, and it's amazing to me. So very similar to the Van Gogh, that cookie Skittles terp, you know. But yeah, check out Poseidon's Pearls as well with their papanana. And yeah, we're gonna have a dab, and I'll see you guys in 2023. Oops. Okay. I think I'm going in a little bit hot, but it's gonna make better content for you guys, and I don't want to keep you guys waiting for too long. Woo! Merry Christmas, guys.